Today I'm going to talk with Walter here about Archon, Glory, and Machination. This is a game about worker placement, or it is a worker placement game that I played for the first time this past week. And it's a little bit of an older game, maybe 3 years old. But this was the first time that I played it. And it had a really unique way of letting players have special workers. This is something I touched on last week with Ex Libris. And it's been on my mind a lot lately because I'm working on a game with unique workers and how to implement that. Because it's kind of a tough puzzle. If you want to give players unique workers, how do you show that those workers are unique, but also show that they belong to that specific player? And I think Archon does this in a really unique way, which is that every player has 5 worker meeples in their player color, and they all look the same. So I think I was gray. So I had the gray workers. They're all the same workers. They all look the same. However, whenever you place a worker, you play a worker card, and then you place the worker. The worker card shows what's unique about that worker. And so there are 5 different cards. Every player starts out with the same 10 cards. And you get to start out, you also get to pick 2 unique ones from the beginning. But basically your opening hand is the same basic cards that don't really do anything special. But then there are 4 different types of special worker cards that you can acquire. And each one does something a little different. One was the tax collector, where if you have a worker out there, you put a little token under that one to show that it is the tax collector. Whenever someone else goes to that action, they get paid a coin. There's another one that allows you to take 2 actions in a row. So you play an action, and then you do another action right away. There's one that gives you an extra resource, and I'm blanking on the last one, but special abilities, right? And you acquire these cards. There's an action in the game that lets you acquire more of these worker cards, and when you do, you take the basic worker card out of your hand or out of your discard pile, because you have a couple different piles that are happening, and you substitute it for the new card that you've acquired. So the core of this system is, as I just said, that your workers look the same. Your worker meeples look the same, but because you're pairing them with a specific worker card when you actually play them, it almost temporarily turns that worker into a unique worker. And I really like that. It's very streamlined in terms of both components and in terms of gameplay, because you're kind of puzzling over in your hand which special worker are you going to use. And it's actually kind of interesting because it's not visible to the other players. The other players don't know what's in your hand. So instead of having a visible display of what your special workers are, other players don't really know. There's an element of uncertainty in terms of what you're going to play. So they might wonder, okay, has he already played his tax collector for this round? Or does he have another tax collector coming? Has he played that worker that gives him an extra resource? Because if he hasn't, if he does have one, then I need to make sure that I go to the resource action right away. If he does have one, or if he doesn't have one, then I don't need to worry about it. I can wait there and go there later because that's probably less of a priority for them. Things like this that are going on because you have that secrecy of the cards that are paired with the workers that look normal. It's a streamlined system. I don't have much more to say about it, but I really like this implementation of special workers in a game. We kind of had this discussion last week. If you have it with Ex Libris, but if you have something that came to mind about special workers in another game that you'd like to mention, I'd love to hear it. Or if you have something, mechanism in Archon, Glory, and Machinations that you enjoyed, I'd love to hear about that in the comments as well. Thanks.